Today we are going to talk about conditional sentences. Conditional sentences can be divided into two types as far as their starting is concerned. One is the condition clause and there is the if clause. So one conditional sentence has basically two clauses. In the if clause, condition is set, and in the conditional clause, it is informed that the action will be completed provided the condition given in the if clause is met or fulfilled. So a conditional sentence has basically two clauses. One is called the conditional clause and the other is called if clause. We can also replace if clause with unless, and we'll talk about it later. Remember that the action in the main clause can only take place if a certain condition, that is, the condition given in the clause with if, is fulfilled. Let's see more about conditional sentences. The structure of a conditional sentence. A conditional sentence is composed of two parts. One is the if clause, the other is the main clause. Example: if it rains tomorrow, we will not come. So what is the condition? The condition is raining tomorrow, and the principal action is linked with the if clause, will not come. It means that if it does not rain, we will come. So the sentence can be divided into two parts. One is the if clause. It starts with if, other is the main clause. And in between we have a comma over here that marks the boundary between the two clauses. So here we see it is the if clause and it is the main clause. Now talking about types of conditional sentences. And these conditional sentences are classified, they are grouped or categorized according to the functions they perform or the impact they have. Let's see what are the four conditional sentences. At number one, we have the zero conditional. In zero conditional, in the if clause and in the main clause, both cases, we use simple present tense. And we know that simple present tense is used for scientific facts, permanent routines, permanent habits, or things which do not change. Number two, we can call it the first conditional. Here, in the if clause, simple present tense is used, and in the main clause, will plus infinitive is used. Third category, that's called the second conditional. Here we got if plus past simple tense, and the main clause there will be would plus infinitive. And finally, in the fourth conditional sentence type, which we call the third conditional, in the if clause we have past perfect, and in the main clause we have to use would plus have plus past participle. That is the third form of the verb. Let's see. Now we are going to talk about type 0. And what is type 0? Where in both cases, in the if clause and in the main clause, simple present tense is used. Where do we use type 0 conditional sentence? When we are talking about universal truths, things which are permanent. And here which tense is used? In both clauses, that is if clause and the main clause, simple present tense is used. Example, if you heat water to 100 degrees centigrade, it boils. If you heat, so heat is the verb over here. In the if clause, we use simple present, that is first form of the verb. It boils, this is the main clause, and this only happens when the condition in if clause is met or fulfilled. It boils, again, it is a pronoun that shows, that gives reference to water. It boils, first form plus s, simple present tense. If you pour oil into water, it floats. Pour, simple present tense, and it floats, again simple present. So these two things and all other things which do not change and which got the same result anywhere in the world, provided the condition is met. In if clause, we use simple present tense in both the clauses. Here you can see the relevant verb is marked over here. Coming to type 1 of conditional sentences, where we use when we are talking about a present or future probable case, it means the certainty is not there. In type 0, certainty is 100%, but in type 1, certainty declines. It is not 100%, you can call it 90%. Which tense we use? In the if clause, we use present tense, and in the main clause, we use future tense. Example, if I feel sick, I will not go to school. In the condition clause, feel, simple present tense, and here will, that is future indefinite tense or simple future tense. If it rains tomorrow, the match will be cancelled. Here in the if clause, it's simple present tense, and in the main clause or the result clause, we are using simple future tense or future indefinite tense. Let's do an activity. If you not come, you miss the show. Can you complete it? If you not come, you miss the show. Is it 100% activity, or there is some gap, some probability, some speculation in fulfilling this activity? John buy a car if he dash get a job. Mary dash get a toothache if she eat too many sweets. Just fill in the blanks according to what you have just learned. Now let's see what are the answers of this activity. If you do not come, you will miss the show. Since it is not a universal truth, so where it is not a universal truth, there we use simple present tense in the if clause, and in the main clause or the principal clause or the result clause, we use simple future tense. John will buy a car if he gets a job. If he gets a job is the if clause, we are using present tense, and in the result clause or the principal clause or main clause, we use simple future tense. Mary gets a toothache if she eats too many sweets. Here we are using present indefinite tense, that is the first form of the verb plus S according to the subject. In both cases, why? Because it is a universal truth. If you eat too many sweets in any part of the world, the result will remain the same. Here is an activity for you. Just imagine what should come in the dot part. Condition is, if I go away on holiday this year, what will happen? If I lose all my money, what will happen? If we get too much homework, what will happen? If my friend gets into trouble, what will happen? If we finish early today, what will be the result? I'll eat my hat if. No, it's symbolic. It does not mean actually you are eating your hat. It's symbolic. This school will have to close if. We will all be very happy if. I will be rather disappointed if. Will you help me if? Do this activity. Share your answers in the comments and I will give my feedback. Hope you got the basic idea of type 0 and type 1 conditional sentences. In the next video, I will be coming up with the next categories.